Hello builders. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a beautiful opt-in form and embed it in your landing pages, blog posts, and theme using Elementor Pro. Now this video does require the Pro version because the Forms widget is only available in the Pro version of Elementor. Now I'm going to be using ConvertKit as my email service provider in this video, and it's one that I use personally in my own business. And one of the things I love about ConvertKit is it's completely free up to your first 1,000 subscribers. So if you're just getting started with email marketing and don't want to shell out a bunch of money up front, check out ConvertKit. You can use my link in the video description to get started. And with that, let's get into the video. Okay, so we have our blank WordPress install, and now we're just going to create our landing page. So we're going to go to Dashboard, and we'll create a new page. And I'll just call it landing page. And I'm going to edit with Elementor. Now, by default, Elementor inherits your themes templates. And depending on what theme you're using, you may have a sidebar, or you may not have a full width page. And we probably want a full width page for our landing page. So to change that, we're going to go to Settings. And here we can change the page layout from default to something like Elementor full width, which will keep the header and footer from your theme. Or if you wanted to get rid of the header and the footer as well, you could choose Elementor Canvas. But we're going to keep the footer, so we're going to go back to full width. And of course, you can design your landing page completely from scratch. But one of the great things about Elementor is that they have pre-built templates and blocks, and that's really a nice starting point that will save you a ton of time in designing. So we're going to add a template. And you can click here to load a new template. And of course, you can have your saved templates here. You could choose from pre-built blocks, and they do have some opt-in blocks. If you go to one of the subscribe blocks, you can see that they have these pre-built subscribe blocks. But we want a full landing page. So I'm going to search landing. And since I'm going to show you how to build the form from scratch, we're going to use one that doesn't have a form in it yet. So if you haven't already, you need to activate your license and connect. And it'll just ask you to sign into your account and authorize this website. So we're going to connect and activate. Now if we refresh the page, and now we should be able to access this template. So you can preview it, and you can just click insert. All right, the page, all the demo content has been inserted. We have our full landing page here, and we're just going to click update. Now, this is a good example of a lead magnet opt-in page where you offer something of value, maybe a free download, in exchange for somebody's email address. But we just don't have the form yet. We need to connect the form to this page. So instead of this button, we're going to just delete this. And we're going to create a form. So you can just search for the form widget. And we'll drag this right in here. And you can figure out what information you need. We definitely don't need the message, so we can delete this in the content box. And we're just going to collect a first name and an email address. So pretty frictionless sign up process. And we're going to do a little bit of styling quickly on this form. So for this form, I don't want to show the labels. I only want to have the placeholder. And then we can edit the fields individually. So we're going to change the label to, or actually the placeholder text to first name. And you could change the email placeholder to, or just leave it as email. Next, we can adjust the column width. So for example, maybe we might make this 70 and this one 30. And if they fit next to each other, Elementor will just put them on the same line. So that's a good way to make a pretty compact opt-in. And maybe I want to adjust this. I think maybe 60-40 would be a little bit closer to what we want. Next up, we'll adjust the input size and just make it a little bit bigger. We'll make it medium. And by default, that adds a touch of border radius, which I think is a nice look, but we can adjust that manually later. And let's move on to the button. So if you click to the button, you can change the submission text. And I like to do something descriptive that tells the user what they're getting. So something like that. Maybe get your free guide. And then we can go to the Style tab and style it further. So we'll click on Style. And the form fields, I think, look all right, but let's adjust the button. So first, we want to change the background color to something a little more contrasty. You could do just a nice black to sort of match the text here. Or if you want it to stick out a bit more, maybe something like a blue. So we can leave it like that. And we're just going to make it a little bit chunkier. So You got the text padding down here. So the first thing you want to do is unlink it. So you can adjust these levels individually. And we're just going to do maybe 16 on the top and bottom. And I'll leave the left and right like that. For the buttons, we also might want to adjust the typography. Perhaps we could make it all uppercase. And of course, you can change the font size as needed. Now that our form is cosmetically done, we need to connect it to our email service provider so that we can start collecting emails and putting those people on our list. So to do that, just click on the form, and under the Content tab here, we're going to go down to the Actions After Submit. And by default, you'll see two actions here. You'll see Collect Submissions, and you'll see Email. And let me explain quickly what these are. So Collect Submissions will store this information locally on your WordPress server. It'll collect the name, email address, and maybe some other metadata and store it on your server. And the email will send an email to you to notify you every time the form's been filled out. Now, in general, I like to delete the collect submissions. I don't like to host personal information on my website. It's just in the age of sort of digital privacy, like the California privacy rules, as well as the EU's GDPR, it's just a nightmare. So I never leave this enabled. And the email one, you can send yourself an email and maybe just remove the fields that include personal information, and I'll show you how to do that in a sec. But when you're first starting an email list, it's nice to get that email every so often that's like, hey, somebody really felt that they should opt into your list. Like, it's a nice feeling and it sort of keeps you motivated. So we're gonna leave that, but we still need an action that will connect the form to our email service provider. So if we click the plus icon here, you can see all the different integrations that Elementor has. It integrates with many of the most popular email service providers. We got MailChimp, Drip, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, GetResponse, and that's just a few. So I'm going to be using ConvertKit for this demo. This is a service that I use personally, and I love the fact that I have a completely free plan for up to 1,000 email list subscribers that lets you really build your list without having to pay that fee every month when you don't really have that big a list. So I'm going to show you how you can start with ConvertKit for free and connect it to our Elementor form, but you should know that you don't need to be using ConvertKit. All of these services, if you already have one, work basically the same. But basically, you are going to connect the API key of your email service provider to Elementor in the Elementor dashboard. And then we're going to create a form on the back end of your email provider, and we're going to connect that to the form here so that those form fields get pulled in to the back end of your email provider via the API. So I'm going to choose ConvertKit. And now that we have ConvertKit enabled, you'll see that we have this new ConvertKit dropdown. And if I go in here, you'll see that there's a box for a form, but we can't load any because we haven't set the API key yet. So to set the API key, let's go back to the WordPress dashboard. So I'm going to go exit to dashboard. And I'm going to go to Elementor and settings. And now if you go to the integrations tab and scroll down, you can see all the integrations that they have for each of these email providers. So since I'm using ConvertKit, I'm going to enter my API key. So let me show you how to get started with ConvertKit and get your API key. So I have a link to ConvertKit right down in the video description. So if you'd like to support this channel and sign up for free, you can use my link. Otherwise, you can go straight to convertkit.com. Once you're there, just click the Get Started Free button. You can select whether you're moving from another tool or just starting from scratch. Choose whether you have a website or not, but it doesn't matter. You're going to be choosing WordPress for this because we're using Elementor. You can skip this part or fill it out later. And now just enter an email and password, accept the terms, and click Get Started. And after you do that, ConvertKit will send you a welcome email as well as just a confirmation where you have to confirm your email address before they will give you access to your account. And then you can start setting stuff up on the back end. So let's go ahead and do that now. Now, once you're logged into your ConvertKit account, we're going to go to Landing Pages and Forms. And now you can simply create a new form. So we're going to click Create New, and we're going to create a form. It doesn't matter which type of form you select because we're not going to be embedding their code. We're just going to be connecting the form via the API to Elementor, but I'm going to select Inline. And you can skip this. You don't need any of these styles. You can just use the default style or just pick something simple. Now, next up, you want to add the exact same forms to this form that we put in Elementor. So I just had a first name and an email address. If you had more fields than that in your form, you need to add all those fields here as well. But I'm just going to click another one. So we've got email address. And we've got first name. And you can name this custom field whatever you want, but I'm going to call it first name. And now let's give our form a name. So we don't want to name it after the template that we use. You'd like to give it a descriptive name so you know what part of your site or where on your site it connects to. If you're going to reuse it everywhere, you can just say my default opt-in form, but we'll just call it my landing page opt-in. And I'll save this. Now, in order to pull it into Elementor, we need to put our ConvertKit API key in here. And in order to get that, we're going to go back to ConvertKit. Let's go to Account Settings, and you'll see this field for API key, and we're going to copy that and click Validate Key. You get the little check mark that means it is in fact a valid key. And the most important step, and I forgot this, and I always forget to do this when I'm connecting this, is you need to scroll to the bottom here and click Save Changes. Because if you don't do that, it won't save your API key. Now, when we go back to the landing page, so you can see it wasn't pulling in the form before, but if we refresh here, reload the page and go back to our form, actions after submit, ConvertKit. And now you can see after a little bit of thinking, it can find some forms, and we're going to pull in the landing page opt-in that we just created. And now we need to map the fields to each other. So we create a field called email in our form in ConvertKit, and we create a field called name. Now, tagging your subscribers is a key part of email marketing. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to attach a little label to your people who opt into your list based on how or where they came from or what actions they've taken based on your emails. So an obvious way to do this is if they're opting in to get the Good Life manual, you would want to give maybe a Good Life tag on them so you can know that this segment of users is interested in this topic that they opted into. So you can't create a new tag in Elementor, you have to create it in ConvertKit. So if you go back to your ConvertKit dashboard, and if you go to the subscribers tab here, you'll see this option to create a tag. So we'll create a tag, we'll call it Good Life Guide or something like that. Click Save, and we're gonna have to reload the page again. But now when you load the tags again, you'll see this new option here, Good Life Guide. So we're going to apply that tag to segment all the people that sign up through this opt-in. Now, the final action that you might want to add is the redirect. And basically, after somebody submits the form, it's going to redirect them to a thank you page. And that's generally a good practice. You can give them some information. For example, if you have a double opt-in where people have to confirm that they want your email subscription, you can redirect them to a page that says, hey, thanks for signing up for my list. Here's some resources you might find useful. By the way, please go to your email and just click the yes, I confirm this subscription link. So I'm going to show you how to create a thank you page next. But first, we're going to set up the email settings. So if you do want a notification email when somebody opts in through your form, you would just put your to email. So whoever you want this to be sent to, in this case, it could be my email address and a subject. And by default, it includes all the form fields that the person filled out, but you don't necessarily want or need their email address getting emailed to you. So you can just put either a blank message, or you could say something like, and you can configure the subject name, the from email address, all that stuff here. But this is basically all the information you need. And you can remove things like the remote IP address. You don't need that information. User agent. This is just all data that you don't really need. And we'll just send this as a plain text email and click update. And now every time somebody subscribes to your form, you're just going to get a little email that says, hey, bud, you did it. New subscriber, way to go. So next up, let's set up the redirect. All right, so with Elementor, I have created a very simple thank you page. It just says thanks, but ordinarily you want to put some more information in there, perhaps direct your users to some more helpful resources on your site. And you could tell them perhaps to go click the confirmation email. All right, now that we have our beautiful thank you page created, we need to tell the form to redirect to it. So we're going to go to the redirect settings here. And You can see as the example shows, you want to type in the full URL path of the page you want to redirect to. So I'm going to type in HTTP because I don't have SSL on the site. And we'll go optin.demo/thanks. Now we'll click update. And if I preview my page, let's just test out the form. So we'll, Matt, yes, I want my free guide, of course. All right, and it redirected to our thank you page. So it really is that simple. Now, landing pages aren't the only place you can collect emails, and a common tactic actually is to embed an email opt-in in pretty much every blog post or perhaps in the footer of your site. So let me show you how we can create a template and then just reuse that throughout the site. So let's just slim this down a bit. So perhaps we'll delete this and let's shrink the image. Cut down the font size a bit. Just make everything more compact, and we'll adjust the padding on this section. So we'll adjust this to 40 pixels and 40 pixels. And now if you select the section, which is outlined by these blue lines, I can right click the edit button and we can save this whole thing as a template. So let's call it opt-in template. And now you can reuse this in your theme. So if you, for example, you wanted to use the Elementor theme builder, you could easily inject it into pages that way. Now, by default, WordPress is shipping with the Gutenberg block editor, and a lot of you rightfully are using that to edit your blog posts. And maybe you don't want to have the opt-in in the same place in every post. You would like to choose where in your post it gets embedded. So you can embed your templates with a shortcode, or you can easily embed it with an Elementor block. So let me show you how to do that. So let's go to Plugins, Add New, and we're going to search for Elementor Blocks Gutenberg. And this is an official add-on by Elementor. We're going to click Install Now, Activate, and now if we create a post, and we can go to Add Block, and you can see now we have this Elementor library block that we can choose from. And you can choose any of your saved templates. I only have one or maybe two, I guess, but we can choose the email opt-in template and embed that right there. So we'll click Publish. And on the front end, you can see it can use a little bit of tweaking to fit in this smaller layout. But we can directly edit that section, which is such a handy feature. So let's sort of adjust these column sizes perhaps. And I'm going to turn down this size of this image. We'll make it 150 pixels. And we're going to need some padding on our section here. So let's add some side padding. Let's try 40 on the left and right. And already that's looking much better. And you could adjust the text size down a little bit, maybe. Can make this like 32. And I think that's looking pretty good. And we could also view it in responsive mode just to make sure that it looks good here too. And in responsive mode, it's looking pretty good. We probably want to cut down some of that padding on the bottom and maybe add some side padding to our form in mobile view. But in general, this is looking very nice. Now, you don't have to manually insert these in your blog post. You can also have them injected automatically. There's a couple ways that you can do this. You can use hooks that are built into your theme, or you can use the theme builder that ships with Elementor Pro. The theme builder is a really easy way. For example, if you have built a custom post template, you can just include your opt-in in that template. And I'll show you how easy that is. So we can go to theme builder, and we can go to a single post template, and we'll just add a new one. We're not going to add a name for now. And we're just going to use one of the pre-built templates. So here's one. And this one has an email opt-in built in. So you could just connect this form and keep the styling, but connect this form to your form from ConvertKit. So we're going to insert this. And now all I have to do is connect this form. So if we publish this and we want to display for all our singular posts, let's just say all posts. Here's the default Hello World post that comes with WordPress. If we click View, it now has this template that we've just created with Elementor, and there's our newsletter that's getting added automatically along with our next post block. So that's one great way to integrate your opt-ins into your theme. And the other is to use theme hooks. So I use GeneratePress for a lot of my sites, but most of the really flexible, high quality themes these days like Astra, Cadence, Genesis, they all have hooks where you can insert content dynamically in your pages. And I can just show you how this works in GeneratePress. And we're going to go to templates. And we're going to go to my save templates. And what we need here is the shortcode from the template that we just created. So that's the Elementor template ID number 78. And we're just going to copy that. And then I'm going to go to Appearance, GeneratePress Elements. And this is where the hooks are located. So we can go hook. And we're going to create a new hook. Create. And all we're going to do is put that shortcode in there. Say execute shortcodes. We're going to say that we want that to happen, I don't know, before the footer. So at the bottom of our post. And display rules, we're going to show it on the front page of the site. So only the home page. And we'll click publish. And if we visit the site, you can see down here, it's injected our layout. It was that simple and it looks great. It stretches to be full width. So our layout looks good, whether it's a full width page or the sort of compressed blog post like with the sidebar that we designed previously. Now, email marketing is such a critical part of any online business that I plan to make this a regular topic on the channel. We're going to dive into copywriting, email marketing, storytelling, and automation. And that's in addition to the regular site building content you see on this channel. So if you're ready to learn more about any of these topics, please make sure to subscribe, ring that notification bell, and watch this video that's coming up next because it was handpicked just for you.